What's up everyone, Sean Count Blackguard here today to tell you to go folk yourself. Now, for those of you that are relatively new to my channel, what this is, I announced a long time ago that I was going to do a series called Go Folk Yourself. But I decided not to do this series because it's a lot of commitment, and I don't really feel like being like, hey, I'm going to do a series. Instead, I'm going to tell you about my favorite folk artists, and this will branch from neo-folk to folk rock to kind of world music. Since I'm asked a lot what are some of my favorites, I have picked out 6 bands, I believe. Yes, 6 bands that I feel like a lot of you guys would really enjoy. And some of these have metal roots, some of them don't. And we're going to begin with a group from Poland. It started off as a one-man project, now has a woman, I believe, added who plays violin. I'm talking about the one and only Lord Wind. Lord Wind is a side project of Graveland. And basically the first few Lord Wind albums were basically Graveland album intros, kind of extended for an entire album, which is cool. I like them. One of my favorites of that sort of sound is the Heralds of Flight. I feel like that's an extremely good album, but it kind of lacks the folkiness that I really like for the later material with albums such as, and I'm going to try to say this, Atelian Monument and Ale Steinar. Those 2 albums to me are much more folk-based and less ambient, and feature kind of less choirs than in the previous releases. And for me, that brings back to this very folkish, stripped-down sort of sound that I really like. That's one of the things that I don't care so much about with neo-folk groups such as Death in June. Well, I think Death in June is very good. It kind of lacks the very minimalist atmosphere that I look for. And Lord Wind definitely delivers, so this might be a good stepping stone for some people to get into more folk music through Lord Wind. If you're already a fan of Graveland, then you're kind of familiar with this sound already, and it should work out fine for you. Next up is a group from Germany called SONNE HAGAL. SONNE HAGAL is a pretty big name within neofolk, and it's kind of confusing to me why more people are not familiar with SONNE HAGAL. This is an incredible group, and put out some amazing albums. 2 of my favorite being Jordan Frost, I'm not too sure how you say that, and Ackerwasser. That might be incorrect. Obviously, album covers are right here for Jordan Frost. Osserwacker. I'm going to talk about Jordan Frost, however you say that first. This is the album that really got me into them. There was a song that I discovered of theirs on a compilation that I cannot remember the name of, but they had a song called Song at the Well, and I may add the album art here if I can remember the name of the compilation that is from. And it's an incredibly beautiful piece of folk music. And to me, it's one of the most moving albums within the genre. It goes through so many different sounds. There's an almost industrial element at points, but it never strays too far from its acoustic roots, which is something that I really like. Very catchy songwriting. Some songs in English, like Who Has Seen the Wind, other ones in German. So many good ones on this album. It's an album that, for me, I love to sit down and listen to on a dark, cold winter night, or if it's just really snowing heavily outside, like when I'm at work, sitting alone in my hut on top of this fucking mountain. And I like to put this album on because it's kind of a relaxing experience, and it matches the atmosphere perfect. It's very dark, it's very ambient, but it's not too much of either to the point where it takes away from the folkish qualities. And the same thing for Osserwacker, which is probably completely wrong. Ackerwasser? Whatever. This album, for me, is not as good as the previous album, but for me, I love this. because to me this album has some of the more catchier songs on here. It has a lot of extremely memorable melodies, and that's something that I really enjoy these guys for. So many great songs, but it has a bit more of an industrial element, kind of Death in June-ish here and there. But it's nothing sketchy. It's nothing overbearing in terms of the industrial elements. It's just some very good, amazing music. Up next is a group, I believe, from the Netherlands. I should have researched this before I did the video. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself in the description. And that is OMNIA. OMNIA is a pagan folk Celtic group, and they've been around for a long time, and they have a lot of albums that are very hit or miss for me, but they have two albums in particular that I absolutely love. One being the album Alive, which I'll talk about first. Alive features probably one of my all-time favorite non-metal songs, and that would be The Raven, which is their interpretation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. As someone who is a big Edgar Allan Poe fan, to finally hear a group put this amazing poem to music and do it properly is fantastic. And it's really, in my opinion, the best song on the album, and the reason to pick this one up if you ever decide to. The way this song progresses is unbelievable. It starts off very quiet, very, very calm, and it kind of builds up into this almost going insane sound to the guy's voice as he gets towards the end of the poem, and it finally ends off quietly. And it's absolutely beautiful with how this song flows with the poem. This is something to me that shows that Omnia are capable of creating some absolutely genius fucking music. And I absolutely love them. And my favorite album from them overall is Pagan Folk. Pagan Folk is an extremely catchy album. This features everything you want from kind of Celtic music and just world music in general. There's a lot of very interesting instruments that I honestly don't know the name of. Something that sounds kind of like a didgeridoo is being used at a few points. But what I really love about this album is there are some beautiful, almost instrumental songs, like Tail Beltani, I think is how you say it, which is the first song on this. Starts off with amazing catchy guitar. It just kind of builds up with the harp being added. I love their usage of the harp. Then, of course, the song The Well, which is a very dark and kind of twisted song about a woman that drowned her children in a well because she slept with so many people, and in her village it brought disgrace, and some of those people were her father. And it's a very twisted story of incest and child murder that I was really surprised to find on a folk album, especially one that sounds this upbeat. Then, of course, there are the songs like again.This, which I'm trying to remember how they say it in the song. I'm sure it's wrong. Very catchy female vocals throughout this one. Really heavily based around the harp. Not much guitar being used when compared to like Tail Beltani. But still, it's fantastic. And there's not a single song that is throwaway on this album. Utterly fantastic. Next up is a band that started black metal. I've talked about these guys before, and then worked their way down to purely stripped down folk music, and that is Sweden's LONNDOM. LONNDOM is a project that involves members from Stilla Armageddon, I believe, if I remember correctly, LIK, some amazing, amazing Swedish black metal groups. And this album has absolutely, and this album is very hard to pronounce. It is, I'll provide a link to it in the description. I'm not even going to try to say it because it's stupid hard to say. This album is very stripped down, minimalist, pure acoustic music. All sung in Swedish. The vinyl version I have, all the lyrics are in Swedish. All the credits are in Swedish. Every single bit is in Swedish, which I think is really cool because it kind of adds to the kind of atmosphere, I guess, in a weird sort of way. I like that. The one thing that I think is really beautiful about this album is how minimal it is. It's two guys playing acoustic guitar and harmonizing. There's no extras added, there's no keyboards, there's no bullshit. This is purely stripped down, utterly gorgeous, depressive, melancholic folk music that really moves me and touches me in a way I can't explain. And the thing is with this album too is every song, despite it being so minimal, you can definitely tell apart the songs. There's a few songs on here that I find myself kind of singing along to, even though I know I'm butchering it and I can't sing to save my life. I find myself kind of singing some of these songs to myself while I'm just riding around on my four-wheeler, just kind of spaced out. I mean, this album had such an impact on me that when I was at my worst mentally and I wanted to die, I wanted a song from this album to be the final thing I heard. And once again, I will put this song in the description because the song means that much to me and it is that fucking gorgeous. Very deep baritone voices. These two guys, they can harmonize like you wouldn't believe, and it sounds fucking beautiful. It sounds pained. You can hear the sorrow just coming forth through the music, and the very natural production is an added bonus. And with this album, it's available on many different formats. If you're a CD guy, you can get the CD version. This is the album cover that I've been showing for the duration of this. Or if you're like me and you really love vinyl, and I highly recommend this version, this is the vinyl album cover. If you see it, I encourage you to buy it. It's a fantastic package that features a beautiful booklet showcasing these amazing, amazing paintings done by a Swedish artist. Beautiful gatefold, hand-numbered, white vinyl poster. It's a fantastic package of a fantastic album, and I cannot recommend this album enough. Final one that I'm talking about is I'm not familiar with the rest of her discography, but I'm going to talk about an album from 1998 by a world music artist named Lorena McKennitt, and this album is called The Book of Shadows. The Book of Shadows was something that was recommended to me years ago when I was a member on the Eluvati forum when they were talking about folk music, and someone brought this up and I checked it out, and oh my god, this is one of my favorite springtime albums. It's very uplifting, it's very bright, it's very vibrant. It's just an album that is full of life and passion. And if you want something that isn't going to make you want to blow your brains out, or drink yourself to death, or hang yourself, this is the album for you. The song The Murmurs Dance is one of those songs that once when the weather gets a little warmer and the snow is melting and I got my window open in my room, I just feel good. It's one of those feel-good songs, and this album is just full of them. I cannot recommend this album enough. There's a reason why it sold so many copies back in the day, beyond the fact that The Murmurs Dance was a theme song for some kind of shitty show in the late 90s that only lasted one season. This album is truly genius and one of my all-time favorites, and I cannot recommend this one enough. Like a broken record. I can't recommend it enough, can't recommend it enough, can't recommend it enough, can't recommend it enough. But that's my video for Go Folk Yourself. I'm gonna head out because I'm going to a party, I guess. I don't know what the fuck is happening. My friend called me while I was recording this, but you wouldn't know because I'm now editing. Hey! I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found some new music to check out that's not metal or whatever. And, yeah, let me know if you enjoyed any of these bands, if you can get into any of it. If you can't, what is it about it that turns you off? And tell me what turns you on. Please don't. Don't tell me what turns you on. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And go folk yourself.